let's talk about the book.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great book.
Just briefly.
I read it from cover to cover in one sitting, and it was a little bit too close to the bone, if if I'm honest. But everything was true. He took a couple, he embellished a little bit. For example, there's one scene where he says, "I would break," because that's what we did. We just did it in the hambu. If you ate your lunch in the kitchen, you take your chopsticks, you put them in the bag, and you would put them behind your fingers and go like that. You'd break them and throw them away in the garbage. And I was just amazed once, because if you take the long ones and go, it's really cool because you go, and then once I saw Cheetah Sensei, and in the book he says, I said only one person in the dojo is stronger than me, but that's not what I said, but I was showing them, because once, I swear to God, we were in the Humble Dojo in the kitchen, and if Cheetah Sensei is eating lunch, when he's ready, you would take his dish away and this and that. And he was finishing up his lunch. I think he might have had noodles, and I was ready to take his dish away, and he took the chopsticks and he put it between his fingers. There's my pencil here. Sorry. Just so you kind of see, you take the chopsticks and you put them like that, and then you go and you break them. And Cheetah did that, and he went and he broke them. Then he put those two pieces together. He put those between his fingers, and he looked at me, and he went and broke them. I thought, holy crap. So I took his dish away, and I waited until he went out of the kitchen, and I took a pair of chopsticks, and I went, and then I put them together, and I tried so hard. I had a dent the size of a chopstick in my finger for about 3 days, because I almost broke my own finger. And I said, I've seen Cheetah do that, and it was amazing. But he says, in the book, he says, only one person in the dojo is stronger than me to do that, or something like that. So they're a little bit embellishments. And when I met him, he told me he wished he hadn't used people's names, but I think that gives it and it was true. Most of the book was true, and it was horrendous training, but our job was to make them strong. And like I said, and I'll tell you what I tell people, Robert's been to my house twice, because he's been to Canada for some book tours and stuff, and he stayed here, and I like him. But we didn't get along that well in I guess in the dojo in the beginning, because what I will say is, I think you'll agree, even though you're a Tomiki heretic, is that Yoshinkan Aikido is an attitude just as much as it is a set of techniques. And if you're going to do something like the Sensei and be a Yoshinkan teacher, there's a required attitude to have. You must be strong, you must be focused, you must be concentrated. And that's how they do all the classes and teach it that way. And the problem is, Robert was a really, really talented poet and writer. It just took him a long time to kind of get with the program, and he fought us a lot along the way.
Yeah.
And he'd be the first. I think he'd be the first to admit that too. But you got to get with the programming, and almost the Sensei is easy. Just say, listen, don't give up, and just do what you're told. All warts and whistles and pain and everything. So, yeah.
Well, yeah. It's said in the book, and I think it was attributed to you, that the most important thing about the course was spirit.
Yeah.
And even those people who may not be doing the best Aikido, but if they were killing themselves but carrying on and
Absolutely.
knocking themselves out, they were showing spirit.
Yeah. I told them right in the beginning. I said, and this sounds strange because I was a teacher at the Hombu Dojo. I had a teaching certificate signed by Gozo Shoda. I still have it, actually. It's cool. But it was only good for a year. And after that, I just was teaching the classes. And I said, listen, when you guys finish this course, you're going to get a Yoshinkan Aikido instructor certificate. I don't have one. You better be good. And my job was to make them strong. And I said, you're going to have to be, at the end, you're going to have to earn our respect. And some people did. Some people did a great course. Robert and a couple other people, we had to drag them kicking and screaming a little bit. But they got through it. And, we talked a little, I've talked with some other people before, and the truth is, and there were a couple people in that course, Adam, Robert, and Ben, we kind of dragged them kicking and screaming through the course. But this is where the magic of I think, of kind of that type of Sensei training is, you know, Adam, Robert, and Ben, when they did their Shodan test, and I mean, it's true, they're kind of, you read the book, Adam, Ben, and Robert were kind of a little bit of the weakest links, so to speak, in the group. But when they finished their Shodan test, they did a better Shodan test than any other Shodan test I've ever seen with my own eyes, to be honest. And that's only after 9 months. Except for my student Farshad, he was pretty brilliant. He still is. But so it does work that way. But then it doesn't work in other ways, because if you don't become a teacher in the next course, it's really hard to keep that intensity if you're not getting that from the regular training. You know.
Why didn't you have an instructor's certificate?
Because when I did my Sensei course, I just got a handshake. I didn't even know they gave them out. I guess I should have asked. I didn't think, but now I didn't get one. Yeah. You know, and to teach at the Hambu, I had to get a certificate from Gozo Shoda. So, like I said, I have a teaching certificate signed by Gozo Shoda, but it was only good for a year, and then I guess after that they just forgot about me. Okay. I think you're gonna
put an expiry date on it, did they?
Yeah, 1 year. 1 year teaching certificate, 1 year, that was all. And then I guess, and then when it expired, they decided they were used to me hanging around there, so they didn't give me another one.
Yeah, I didn't even mention it, because he even in his book, he fantasized about killing you, Twigger.
Yeah. So that brought me a bit of notoriety too, I guess, and stuff. But, you know, he was just a bit stubborn. And like I said, there's all, you know, like, you just have to, there's a way to act in the dojo, especially if you're like a Sensei. I think I told you, I mentioned it maybe in the interview I did with Tombo Sensei. You know, I met two of them. There's one guy, he said, he met me, he said, "Oh, Sensei, nice to meet you, how are you?" And the other guy bowed and said, "Hey, Rob, how you doing?" And that was the guy who did the Sensei. So he obviously,
yeah, you said,
obviously just, I mean, I don't expect people to, I think we've talked before, I mean, I don't expect people to call me Sensei. I mean, if you're in the dojo, you must call me Sensei, because that means you have to do what I say when I say it, no questions asked. If you can't do that, it's not the right dojo for you. I hope, Phil, it means I've earned it. Do you know?
100%.
I mean,
it's a mark of respect.
I've earned it. I've had a couple of students who call me Rob on and off the mat. I don't really care about it, because their technique kind of reflects that attitude, if you know what I mean.
But I guess this Sensei, you know, you just got the measure of him like that.
That's a really, thank you. That's a really good way to put it. And I just thought, and when he did his Kamae in the seminar, did his movements, I thought he didn't learn a thing. Didn't learn a thing. You know, but he's not the only one. I remember once we were in Toronto, and I was with Joe, because, you know, Joe and I have done a lot of teaching together, and I adore him, and I adore teaching with him. And this guy who's a Rokudan, he's a Rokudan, said to Tombo Sensei, "Oh, Tombo Shihan, it's so great that you've come to visit us again in Toronto. It's really nice to see you again." And he turned to me and says, "Hey, Rob, how you doing? Nice to see you." And I just thought, fair enough. What's my name?
Wow.
I don't really, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
the story once where someone asked a high-ranking guy if it was his first trip to Japan, and he flipped out and said, "What are you talking about? I've been here many, many times. I come here all the time, blah, 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 blah." And it was just, so who cares? Ask me how many times I've been in Japan. 3. In 1977, I went for 1 month. In 1986, I went for 9.5 years. And in 2002, I went for 3 weeks. It doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the mystique, the Japanese mystique for Westerners, where some of them try and be more Japanese than the Japanese.
Yeah, the Japanophiles kind of give me the heebie-jeebies. I don't do well for them, if you know what I mean. You know, the truth is, I know I do it at seminars and stuff, but I don't like it when people rush around to carry my bag and stuff and this and that. If they're going to do it, I let them do it, but I don't really like it. And most of my students won't. One of my students does, because I just gave up arguing, so I would grab the bag. The only thing that's really good is, And Farshad, who's also, I mean, he's a brilliant, I could talk about him forever. And you should see his sword. Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. Is he ever good? And so he's also teaches Iaido in my dojo. And his Iaido's brilliant. And he's really good at folding the hakama. And for some reason, I don't know why, we all have different skills. I'm good at Aikido. I'm really good at doing dishes. I'm good at doing the Hoover, as you guys would say. But I suck at folding stuff. I don't know. I can't fold stuff for crap. T-shirts and I suck at it. So it takes me forever to fold my hakama. And I can't do it on the tatami. I learned that the hambu on a table. So if I don't do it on a table, I can't really do it. And if I try it on the tatami, it takes me hours. And Farshad does it in 2 minutes, perfectly. He just goes, there it goes. So I kind of like the fact that he folds my hakama for me because I really suck at it. I can do it if I got nothing else to do for an hour. But other than that, I mean, I don't, and like I said, but in the dojo, they call me sensei because they have to do what I say. But I like probably like yourself, you've seen people that carry it a bit too far and stuff. And I even heard a story where one guy, they did a tour in Japan, and the guy was designating people to carry his bag every day. I don't get it, And it's another story because we never knew. I never knew about stuff like that. When I first went to Japan, I was going to an Aikido demonstration with Takano Sensei, and Uchideshi was not there anymore. His name was Yuyama, and my friend, Alistair, who was like my senior. He was like my older brother. And it was really funny because I was so naive, and I looked at Takano Sensei, and he was sitting there, and I looked at him, and he wasn't carrying a bag. I said, "Where's your doggy?" I didn't know anything. "Where's your doggy?" And he pointed to Yuyama, who was carrying it in the bag, and I thought, "Oh, why can't you carry his own bag?" But I didn't know, right?
The culture shock, huh?
Yeah, and then after that, I mean, I was the first to grab any of the teachers', bags and stuff and this and that. And some people would get mad because in demonstration, if Takano Sensei had a microphone, if you went to put it down, I was right there to grab it to take it from faster than anyone because that's what you're supposed to do. I was paying attention, right? Focused on him. But again, if people are going to grab my bag, I'm not going to fight them over it. But if they want to fold my hakama, I'm grateful. But other than stuff like that, lots of experience where I've had people fussing over me, trying to help me undress and this and that. But I'm thinking to myself, you're trying to take my dogi off, this and that, but you weren't listening to me in the training. You weren't trying to do the techniques the way I was doing the techniques. So your idea of serving me or whatever isn't what I'm looking for. I want you to try and do the way I do the techniques, and maybe you might discover something and make it your own. So,
Perfect segue into a question about the seminars. So, how do you personally, as the teacher, handle seminars where not everyone is necessarily, your student? These are open seminars where you get someone just doing their own thing. They're not specifically trying to do what.
That's a really good question, and the truth is, I break it down to the basics. If, for example, if we do, Aikikai, they say Ikkyo, we say Ikajo in Yoshinkan. I'm not sure what you say in Tomiki, but even like Kotegaishi is Kotegiri, Hinari, or Kote Hinari, or something. I mean, but they're basic. Yeah, okay, Kotegaishi. I've heard Kote Hinari or something like that.
That's Sankajo is Kote Hinari. Yeah.
All right. So, so the truth is, in Yoshinkan Aikido, we have 6 basic movements, and you'll also notice in seminars, Phil, I don't spend a lot of time on the basic movements. Yeah. Because if people are from different styles, they're just going to get frustrated. But there aren't principles of shuffling, forward, pivoting, and shifting, and I go through those, and I put that into the technique, break it down. And I know how difficult it is to change, but I know how easy it is to try. Yeah. You just got to let your mind go a little bit and stuff. Yeah. And when I teach seminars, I break it down that way, especially if there's some different other stylists. and I break it down so they can do it. And I'm not going to, if they're not doing it really the correct way, I'm not going to worry about it too much because they're showing support and trying hard. If they're not trying the way I do it, and like I said, I know how difficult it is to change. If they're not trying to do it our way, then I will try to show them and show them why it's important to do it that way. And usually I get good reviews, Phil, because I'll bury them without hurting them and they don't know how I did it.
Yeah.
And then they'll try to do it. But also, frankly, if they're not going to try to do it the way I'm doing it, I'll ignore them. I will take their money and I'll ignore them. I'm sorry, because I'd rather spend time and energy with people that are trying. And I think I'm pretty easygoing about that. But if you consistently ignore me, I'm not going to spend my time with you. You know, and you know, once I had a seminar where I showed the guy, I said, listen, when you cut down, you're pushing with your right hand down too much. So you're ending up this way when it should be the other way. And he looked at me and he said, I know. I said, oh, okay, sorry. Pardon me.
He knew, but he just chose not to do it.
Yes, exactly. So, but he was a great guy. But it just, I mean, you know.
You just nice guyed him. You just nice guyed him.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there you go.
Whoever it is, poor guy, I feel for him.
Yeah. And that'll happen a lot. I mean, that happens a lot, but I'll try to help them. And
yeah,
seriously, more often than not, if they do their correct uke, I can, even if they don't do their correct uke, I can get them. And then it's their choice to whether they're going to try and do it my way or not. And you've also maybe heard me say in Chida, with Chida Sensei and Takano Sensei, there were more similarities than differences, but there were differences, right? And the truth is, because of personality and body type and attitude, whatever, there was just a little bit certain differences that, you know, if you weren't sure, you know, but for me it was easy. Takano Sensei did it that way. If he's teaching, I do it that way. Chida Sensei is teaching, I do it that way. And eventually you make it, you know, at a certain point, you make it your own. You know, I basically was in a class where Takano Sensei was teaching, but Chida was there, and I was doing it Takano's way, and then Chida would yell at me to do it that way, and then Takano Sensei would yell at me, don't do it that way. I was looking around to see who's watching me before I was doing the technique. But eventually you realize, you know, from that, doing it over and over, you get to your own way. And I had a very interesting experience before, so I don't forget, is that, you know, I can show people, Takano Sensei does it this way, Chida Sensei does it this way, and I do it this way. And they're all pretty similar, just a little bit of a different flavor. You know, my senior student Farshad is very interesting because I've heard this from someone else. He said, Takano does it this way, Chida Sensei does it this way, Mustard Sensei does it this way, but 5 years ago he did it this way. So it shows that I'm kind of growing too, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And basically, you know, for me, I had a really interesting experience at Event House. People, I was training with Takano Sensei up in his dojo. I was with Darren Friend, because Darren and I were very good friends in Japan. We still are. We don't talk as much as we probably should and like to, because I enjoy talking with him. But we were up there training, and Takano Sensei did a technique, and it was spectacular, only the way he can be. I'm sure you understand what I mean. It was just incredible, and it was dynamic, and it was powerful, and it was like, holy crap. But honestly, hand on my heart, I knew in my heart of hearts that I couldn't do it that way, and I didn't want to do it that way. And that messed me up like you would not believe. That really messed me up. And but I got over it because he also told me. You know, one day he asked me, what's Robert's Aikido? And I thought I'd be humble and say, I don't know. And holy crap, was that the wrong answer? He just yelled at me for half an hour, like, how stupid was I? And he said something, but I've never forgotten. He said, there's one Gozo Shora, there's one Takino, there's one Chida, one Robert. Find your own Aikido. And I tried so hard to be like both of them, I became like myself. It took me a long time to get over that and become comfortable with it.